Bosh! Welcome everyone to another episode of Catabolic Window, whatever episode we're on, probably like almost 90 or something. We're here, it's just me, it's just Luke. That's it. Thanks for watching.
Oh, is that the whole podcast? We finished.
Yeah, I don't see why we would continue really after that. That's kind of everything.
That is a very good point, mate.
So how's your week been? Can you tell we're not prepared for this fucking out?
Yeah, my week's been pretty good, thank you, mate. Eating some more food. Body weight is not moving like crazy. I'll probably get another food increase this week, to be honest, because it's still chilling at started the week at like 146-ish, and then it's dropped down a little bit again.
Okay, decent. How many pounds up are we, and how many days has it been, or weeks, or whatever? I've already
been probably 3 weeks now. Post shoot, I spiked up to like just under 150, and then
binge. It's okay, mate. We all binge. It's okay.
Big boy numbers, mate. Big boy numbers.
Go up to 300 pounds.
Yeah, exactly. And and then sort of sorted it out. It's steadily dropping, like 147 on average last week. Added in a bit more food, consistently following the baseline diet, and then still dropping down to like 2,600 there. So definitely not fucking reverse dieting, because fuck that shit.
When you say fuck reverse dieting, what do you count as reverse dieting? It's still a phrase that I do use, and a lot of people I respect to use. But I think I know what you mean by it. But do you want to clarify what you mean by reverse dieting?
So I consider reverse dieting to be, okay, I finished my photo shoot diet up at 1,400 calories. So I would consider reverse dieting to be, okay, let's get up to like 1.7. Let's get up to, and then week after that, let's get up to like 1.9. And then let's get up to like 2,100 or whatever the fuck it be. Slowly adding in a few calories here or there. And it's like, well, okay, at 1.7, I'm still in a deficit. At 1.9, I'm still in a deficit. At 2.2, I'm still in a deficit. I'm just in a really fucking small deficit. And I'm probably about at maintenance where I'm at now, even though body weight's been dropping a tiny bit, sort of thing. So
go on. Sorry.
All of that time, I'm still in a deficit, which means that I'm probably not going to be progressing my training that well, even though I have got more food. I'm not going to be sorting myself out in terms of the psychological shit around food, and I'm not gaining any more body fat, which I need to not feel retarded all the time.
I think a lot of people underestimate just the difference between maintaining a body weight calorically versus getting in a deficit to that body weight. Like, I think people think, okay, so what it was 1,400 that you ended the photo shoot on. So I think people would expect you to be on like 1,400, maybe 1,500 to like hold the same body weight, or to like not instantly get fat. And it's like, no, you probably could chuck on, like, if you're in a deficit, like easily 500 calories, potentially more. I don't know. It depends how big of a deficit, but like.
Oh yeah, mate. I was in like 2 pound a week deficit.
Oh, there you go. I mean, that's 1,000 calories a day, roughly, isn't it? Mathematically, something like that. That's ridiculous. I remember one time I was like pulled out of a mini cut, and we added in 600 calories. Yeah, we pulled out. It was like 150 carb. As in finished. Sorry, not as in like quit. Sorry. Let me clarify.
I was making a sex joke, but
I thought you were, but then I was like, is he saying that? Like, I don't know. Did I phrase it wrong? But anyway, I finished. So I finished all over a mini cut, like all over a mini cut's chest. So I finished all over. Yeah. Anyway, so we added in 600 calories, and like my body weight just like shifted downwards again. And we're like, hey, add another 600. Like, I think you'd be surprised how high you can get your food, or relatively how high you can get it while keeping body weight. Like, it really is quite easy to keep body weight versus to get down to it.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest fucking reasons why people don't maintain their fat loss, like after they lose a fucking shitload of body fat, say if they were really overweight and they just want to get themselves into decent composition, because they finished dieting at fucking 1,600 calories, and then they try and stay there the whole time.
Yeah, they're terrified of like any increase in food, any increase in scale weight, like even like temporary increases, like where overnight you might gain a pound and then lose that pound, or food volume going up, so then they weigh a bit heavier. I think, yeah, a lot of people get like this weird food bad, or like they get uncomfortable when they see like a plate of a good amount of food, or they see like a bunch of calories. I think people get very hesitant to have that after a diet because go on.
It's very paradoxical, because actually if they accept that the scale weight's going to bump up for a couple of days and then it will sort itself back out again, because it's like, yeah, you've just eaten an extra kilo of food in that day, of course you're going to weigh a bit more tomorrow.
Yeah,
like,
but also,
but they then don't want to do that, so what they do is a couple of days of still sticking to those low end of diet calories, and then a couple of days of eating like a fat cunt, and then they gain more weight anyway.
Yeah,
and you're like, you've just done the thing that you said you didn't want to happen.
I think part of the reason people do that as well is they get like, people are like, oh, I want to celebrate my fat loss, so I'm going to go and like eat food. It's like, what? It's like saying I quit smoking, so I'm going to go and have a fag. Like, bro, the celebration is the physique. Like, you don't need to, keep on with, like, you can have more food and you can relax a little bit and you can go and be reasonable, but you don't need to go to like a fucking all you can eat buffet, or go and order like 4 Dominoes in a row because you've lost a bunch of fat. Like, what are you doing? It's literally the same as being like, I've cut down on my drinking, I'm going to go on a 3-day bender. It's the exact same thing. But when it's food, people seem to be a bit more comfortable with having like a weird or skewed relationship, or having these weird patterns of behaviors. Like, if your approach to eating, if it was a drug or cigarettes or alcohol, would it still be?
I've come off crack cocaine for 3 weeks. Do you know what I'm going to do? Fucking smoke some crack to celebrate.
Exactly. I mean, obviously it is different, because like after a diet you can introduce more food and you can ease up a little bit, because food is a necessity. But still, you don't want to just go straight back to the behaviors that landed you in that position. Like, if you're not willing to, if you're just going to go back to making and acting like that person who needed to diet, you're going to get the physique of someone who needs to diet, and you're just going to end up in the exact same position. It's like whenever me or you come out of a diet, our idea of an on-track meal is probably going to be very different to when we're like peak of a bulk or an off season. You have to change your behavior based on like the habits that you're in. Like, if I've just come out of a diet, I can't have a Domino's as an on-track meal. If I'm at like peak food,
Domino's is shit anyway.
To be fair. But like, if I'm at peak food, I can get away with doing something like that. I can get away with not really worrying about it. I can just swap out one meal. But if I've just come out of a diet, I might have to swap 2. I might have to keep things a little bit more reasonable. If I want a large pizza, I might have to go medium or whatever the fuck. Like, you still have to carry those actions, because the actions that led me to that physique wasn't going and getting a large Domino's pizza every single fucking day. So if you're going to do that, you're just not going to have it. I think people remember that your actions with food will lead to how you look. So you have to act a certain way to look a certain.
A huge part of that is the mindset. So like, for example, if I go through all of the off-plan shit I've had since I finished my photo shoot, steak, potatoes, veg, peppercorn sauce the day of the photo shoot, roast dinner the day after, then the Thursday following that I had a sourdough pizza. Friday I had a triple chocolate cookie, which was fucking incredible. Last Sunday I then had another roast dinner. So out of all of those, the only one which was explicitly about enjoying the food was the cookie.
Yeah.
The steak was, I haven't had a nice meal with my mum and her boyfriend and just fucking like sat down and enjoyed it in months. The roast dinner was, my family are coming over and I like roast dinner, so I guess that's partly about food. The sourdough pizza was, we're going out for dinner and this is a nice option that I can make. Not fucking take my Tupperware to dinner. And then the following Sunday is, it's my mum's birthday. I'm gonna, I had some cake that day as well.
That's fun. But the thing is,
but if it's like, I haven't had a fucking cookie or a brownie in ages and I just want to have one of those, like, you can do that. But it's probably probably not gonna make you feel that good outside of the just eating it moment. After that, you can be like, oh fuck, I've had that and now I want more. And
Exactly. No one's ever been like, I had a cookie last Sunday. I'm having a fucking amazing week, mate. Amazing week. They'll be like, how was your November? Oh yeah, on the 1st of November I had a cookie. So actually the whole month's been sick. It's like, no, it just doesn't, it's not going to hang around that long. Even socializing is going to last a little bit longer, and being able to like share meals with people is probably going to make you feel good for like a good day, 2 days. But even then, like, it doesn't last for ages, but guilt can last for ages. Like if you fucked it on the weekend, you can feel guilty the whole fucking week. You're not going to feel like, amazing. And I think it's good to have things to look forward to. Like that's kind of part of the fun, is like, looking forward, or almost like in my mind, looking forward to that meal, that sourdough pizza. Like if my like
hey, if you ever go near a Franco Monca, fucking go there. It's the best pizza you will ever have in your life,
mate. I'll be all fucking over that, honestly.
It's so good.
I like, at Christmas I've got like a nice family dinner, and I'm really looking forward to that. I'm probably like looking forward to it will probably like trump doing it. Like it'll be nice, yeah, but like I've got like months of lead up of like, I'm actually really looking forward to that. Not the food, but just like the people. The food will be nice, yeah, but like the people and like their family that I haven't seen in a long time. But like that's almost, and like every Sunday me and Chloe share a meal together. I get to look forward to that. That's almost more valuable than like the actual thing itself, is like the looking forward to it. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, for sure.
if like, oh, tonight I'm gonna like have some nice meal or whatever, you get to look forward to it. Whereas if you just have it, like I would way rather go out for dinner than I would for breakfast, because if you wake up, go for breakfast,
yes,
but when it's dinner, like you get to look forward to it. And like I'd way rather do it at the back end of the week, at the weekend as well, so you get through a full week and then you get to enjoy it. Like I think, you kind of have to break this mindset of like, I want it, therefore I should immediately have it. Like sometimes you have to delay your own gratification because it is more satisfying and you get more days of excitement and looking forward to it. Like, again, it's like Christmas. Like looking forward to Christmas is kind of, and the lead up to Christmas is almost more impactful than the day itself. The day itself is like just kind of like one day and then life goes on. But the lead up, like from the 1st of December, where everyone's feeling all Christmassy and getting excited, like that's almost more fun than the actual thing itself.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. On the topic of delayed gratification, actually, this is something I was thinking about the other day, and this is like
edging.
No, that's a good idea. So this isn't really related to fitness, it's somewhat related to fitness.
Okay.
I think I'm going to post this today just because I fucking wanted to, but like this will make sense in a minute. Just fucking let me come around to it. So basically,
I got you.
I don't believe in God, but I think heaven and hell are real, in the sense that like religion tells you if you live a good life, you look after yourself, you look after the people around you, you behave honestly, you learn from all of your mistakes, you just generally do good shit, which often requires delaying your gratification.
Yeah.
Because you could say, okay, I could lie about this thing and get something I want now, or I could be honest that I fucked up or did something else here or there. And yeah, it's stuck now, but over the long term, it's the right thing to do. Whereas if you lie, cheat, prioritize shit that's going to make you happy now, whether that be eating shit food or like, I don't know, fucking stealing from someone, then it tells you that you're going to end up in hell. Except if you've done all of those shit, the life that you're living is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Because you've nobody around you that cares about you, because you've stolen from all of them, or you fuck them over, or you're unwilling to accept responsibility for anything. You're constantly blaming other people. Nobody wants to fucking listen to that. That sounds like a pretty horrible life already.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Whereas if you do all of the fucking classic looking after yourself shit, being a good person, you're going to have a pretty decent life.
Agreed. That's a good way of looking at things. That is one thing. This is a little bit of a tangent. That is one thing that I
Love
think
the tangent, mate. Let's go.
people like. I think some people, I'm super generalizing here, so I'm trying my hardest not to get cancelled. But I think when you have a religion and you have this idea of like there's something later, you can almost overlook the now. And like, it's, yeah, I know that most religions tell you to be a good person, but I feel like maybe some people, they're good people, but they're not like truly just grabbing life and just like going at it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like personally, one of the like, I don't believe in an afterlife, and I don't want to believe in an afterlife because I think scarcity is a good thing. Like, I don't really want to go on forever. Like, yeah, it sucks that people I know who've died kind of just don't exist anymore, but like that's kind of the magic of it, isn't it? Like, is that like I've only got this, like I've only got so many podcasts with Luke, I've only got like so many
Oh, yeah.
years of, like I've only got so many years of drinking Pepsi Max Electric. Shout out to Pepsi.
What is Pepsi Max Electric?
Have you not had it?
No.
It's like a lemonade, mate. You'd hate it. You'd fucking hate it. It tastes so artificial. You would hate
Oh,
it. But I like it because I'm a weirdo. But like, do you know what I mean? Like, you've only got like so much time with people, and you've only got so many things. And I feel like if I genuinely, in my heart of hearts, believed that I was like immortal and like my being would go on, I'd be like, let's just like, you know, let's not coach. Let's go for something easier. Let's not do self-employment this time round. I can do that next time round. Or like, let's just do something else. And it's kind of like I like that pressure of like, you've only got so much to do. And I feel like if you carry that philosophy, worst case scenario, okay, I've lived the great life and I die and there's more, cool. But if I am right and there is nothing else, sick, I still lived a great life. I still did everything I wanted to do. I still pushed myself. I still, you know, I feel like it's very easy to like, mate, if I genuinely believed in an afterlife, I don't think I'd get shit done. Genuinely, I just think I'd procrastinate so much. I don't think I would have gone for coaching. I would have just fallen into the first job that offered me something just to be like, yeah, it's money, whatever, it's easy. You know, do you see what I mean?
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And sort of having that thing there of like, you know, something better's coming, just keep going, it will be all right. Isn't that like the reason that the message of the Goggins, the Jocko Willink style thing of just fucking try harder, you're a piece of shit is popular is because a lot of people need to hear it.
Yeah.
And then there's this weird thing where people that then get to that level of like they're really fucking successful start putting out the message of like scaling back, taking it easy, is because that's what they need to hear. But there's like fucking 5% of the population that genuinely need to try less.
Yeah.
Like most people need to try way fucking harder.
100%. But you can't just, I mean, it comes down to what you want. Like, if you just want to kind of move, if you just want to like survive and just move forward, I don't know why you want to, but like, if that's what you want to do, that's calm.
Fuck that shit.
But yeah, like, isn't the point to kind of thrive and do well? And I just, yeah, I feel like it would be very easy to like, you can be a good person, but you wouldn't like grab any opportunities, or you just wouldn't like live. You wouldn't really live. You would just kind of exist. Like, I think if you were like, you know, I believe in an afterlife, all I need to do is just not actively be a dick. You would just kind of do things. You would just like wake up and just eat food and like go and do whatever, and then come home and go to bed. And like, you would do that for decades, and then you would die, and then you would be banking on there being something to be like, I'm going to get a reward for not being an active bell end. And, you know, maybe like occasionally saying hello to someone on the street, giving a homeless person a sandwich from Subway, whatever the fuck. Right. But you're not doing anything. Like, you're just kind of existing, but you're not actually thriving or doing more. I don't know. I mean, it depends. Like, if like there's going to be people listening to this. I mean, I can't imagine it's our audience given our background, but I feel like maybe there's someone listening to this who's like, yeah, I just kind of want to like fuck it, like just move through life, and that's fine. But
yeah, I think a lot of the values that truly looking at religion and putting that into your life is very, very useful, apart from the like touching kids part.
That's only one religion, though, to be fair. That is only one religion.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got Christianity where people end up touching kids.
It's mainly Catholics. It seems to be
mainly. Yeah, okay, it's mainly Catholics. Fair.
We can make fun of Christianity and not get cancelled. That's okay. I feel like that's the most.
And then there's the one that gives women less rights than like cats have in Iran.
Oof.
But obviously,
you're not wrong. To be fair, that's yikes, but you're not wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, that it's when you get a religion and you take it all the way to the right, bad shit happens anyway. Like there's like Hinduism is like classic, you know, peace and love, it's all chill type of thing. I know that's Buddhism, but Hinduism is pretty chill as well. But then you also have extreme right Hindus that will kill people for eating beef.
Yeah, if I look up,
it's bad on that level. But generally, I think religion is a pretty good thing in what it teaches you. But equally, you can learn those lessons elsewhere in like a lot of self-development, personal responsibility type of shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I find religion very like confusing and kind of mixed, because it's like you ever who's that philosopher? I don't know if you've heard this, where it's like, is there such a thing as a selfless act? And he basically came to the conclusion of like, there is no such thing as selflessness. There is no true selfless act.
Know this.
Because it's like, even if you do something nice for someone but you feel better for it, you've gained something for that, and therefore that could be your incentive, and therefore you were not selfless. You were trying to make yourself feel better. Like you would have to actively benefit like nothing. You would have to hate doing it. Like you can benefit absolutely zero. Basically, like doesn't exist. I feel like religion is kind of along those lines of like, okay, you're living to please a creator and kind of something that they've laid out, but then why does that creator kind of want you to live a certain way, but he's also giving you the option to not live that way? But then you're also like, I get if you ask a Christian, why does God want me to be a certain way, they say, well, we don't really know, he's God, he kind of is like beyond us. And I'm like, okay, that's a fair enough answer. It's just very confusing, and like I don't quite get it. You're kind of living to someone else's values that benefit you, but not to benefit you. It's to kind of do it for like maybe benefiting you in the afterlife, but kind of also because that's what you feel like you genuinely should do for someone else. It's like you kind of, it's weird. I feel like the idea of this big grand creator is so abstract and so huge that I'm kind of like, okay, I like, who are you to say that I'm wrong about their interpretations, and who am I to say that you're wrong? Like I could be like, God probably wants me to act however I want to act, as long as I'm not a bell end. But then it's like, what if God's like weirdly against bodybuilding? What if he's like, bodybuilding's a sin? Like, I don't know. You don't know that. Like, what? It's just very confusing to like say, yeah, there's this thing that made everything, and we're going to try and guess what he's thinking, or what they're thinking, or what she's thinking, or whatever the fuck.
The bit that I can't get past is, if there's this all-seeing, all-powerful thing, why does it let so much horrible shit happen? That's the bit that I can't quite, you know.
Because the point is, like, I studied a lot of religion in school. I don't know why. But because the point is, like, according to Christianity, the point is like, God isn't like a puppet master who makes things happen the way that he wants. He kind of is like this guy who says, here's Luke, what's Luke gonna do? And then judges you based on what you do. Like he's like a weird parent who never teaches you anything, but then punishes you or rewards you based on what you do. Like that's pretty much it. He's just like, I'm gonna make these people, they can do whatever the fuck they want, they can all go ham, but like, you know, you can kill someone, but if you do it, I'm gonna punish you. But you can kill someone, you can kill as many people as you want until you die, and then when you die, you're fucked. But until then, go nuts. So like, but again, that's what I mean. Like, what I just like, how do you even interpret what something like that is thinking? Like, how do you even, if you were God, like, what the fuck would you even think? Do you think what? It's so abstract. And I think like the fact that a lot of religious texts, especially like the Bible, goes against itself. It's like, oh, you can't be gay, but also there's equality. But also, have you heard that classic that classic thing about slavery in the Bible? Have you read that passage?
Yeah, it doesn't denounce slavery, does it? Because
well, No, there's a great one. Hang on, let me find it.
Is it everyone should be free or some shit like that, but you shouldn't do something to someone's property, and obviously slaves are considered property.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So Exodus 21:20-21. Anyone who beats their male or female slave with a rod must be punished if the slave dies as a direct result. I'm on board. You kill a slave, that's bad. But they are not to be punished if the slave recovers after a day or two, since the slave is their property. That's in a religious text. Like,
oh, that's so good.
it's crazy to me. That is from BibleGateway.com. That is genuinely, I've just searched a Bible. That is a direct quote from a religious text. And I get it. God's confusing. And, you know, who are we to say how he interprets homosexuality or abortion or things like that? But like, it is kind of funny how the Bible does change its opinion based on what's okay at the time. If slavery was still fine to this day, I think a lot more of the New Testament would be about slavery. And like, if homosexuality was still banned or not allowed or thought immoral, I think you'd still see more of that in the Bible. It's just very weird that like the Bible has also got progressively more progressive as the world has. You know, I just can't, I don't think I can attach myself to a religion where someone says, hey, you know, that book you believe in, it says this, and you're like, yeah, I just kind of don't read that part. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I can do that. Can you imagine?
If you go back 300 years, right, there's not everyone sat around there going, oh, this slavery shit's really horrible, we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Because they don't look at it and go, we should do this, we should be really fucking horrible to be. It was just the norm at the time. And it took a few people being very fucking loud to wake everyone up to that. And like, mate, I heard this fucking hilarious thing the other day. So the governor of California is trying to push forward reparations in the state.
Okay.
And this comedian goes, so we're going to get people that never held slaves to pay taxes that go towards people that never were slaves in a state that never had slaves.
Yeah.
And I'm like fucking pissing myself dying.
I mean, it's such a like, that's such a like a muddied topic, isn't it? Because it's like, at what point do you say, like, we've never had slaves, but how far back can you trace, like, can you actually say that like part of our success is because of slavery? Like, I don't think you can, but I also don't think you can't. But it's like, if it's such a muddied water. I feel like if that happened way closer to when slavery was, it would make more sense. But we're so far down the line that it's like, where the fuck?
Yeah, you know how they declassify like FBI files and that sort of thing after a certain amount of time, and it's usually when everyone that was involved at the time is dead.
Yeah,
that's like the cutoff, pretty much, that they have for it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, if everyone is now dead that was somewhat involved, what can you really say? And I find that whole debate hilarious in the sense of people are more worried about that than the fact that there are more slaves in the world now than there ever was then. But they don't want to do the hard work of trying to sort that out. They want to talk about historical shit.
I think the fucking, I've already forgotten what my point was.
Cancelled. Love this.
I've already forgotten what my point was. Oh my days! It was literally off the back of you talking about reparations, and then you were talking about
California.
Yeah. Oh my days! This is so
FBI declassification.
Yeah. Oh my god! What was it,
mate?
This yeah. No, that was my point as well. So, if you were to like trace back slavery to like or like slavery within families, slavery or like kind of started at many different places at once. Like it started in Asia, it started in Africa, it hella started in Europe, and it hella started in America. But like, you're gonna have people who are African American, whose African ancestors were slaves, but also you'll have people who were slave owners. And like, you might have couples of like two people where one of them is from a family of slaves and one of them is from a family of slave owners. And it's, again, it's been so long that it's so hard to like distinguish. And not everyone as well, like not everyone, particularly in the UK, like if you go to like rural Scotland or rural Wales, not a lot of them were owning slaves. They were just fucking farmers. And like, again, it just muddies the water so much, because I think a lot of people think of it as like white people owning black people.
Yeah, it's a really weird narrative. It's like the only way that slavery ever existed was white people owning black people. And it's like, okay, the Romans had slaves, and quite a lot of their slaves were just other Roman people that were fucking born into slavery or poor.
The Romans, like, who the fuck was it who did the living candles? Was that Nero? Nero hated Christians. They had a lot of Christian slaves.
Oh yeah, he fucking hated them. The Egyptians used to have honey slaves where they just get other Egyptian people, cover them in honey to fucking attract all of the flies so that the flies didn't annoy them. That seems pretty fucked up.
I know that like the Atlantic slave trade and like black people
oh yeah, of course. It was terrible.
European white people
terrible.
European white people owned a lot of like African people, and like that's probably the biggest like slavery trade that there was, and like that's where most slaves come from. I absolutely get it.
But equally, the majority of those slaves were captured by African people, capturing other African people and then selling them to white people.
Yeah, to sell them. Like, and that's the thing, is I 100% can understand wanting to be like, okay, we've got these people who their foundations maybe have benefited off of, you know, a few generations ago, their family owning slaves, and we've got this foundation of families where they've been set back by that. And I 100% get that. Like, the world is not a level playing field, and holy shit, is that unfair. Like, imagine if you were like struggling in the world because your ancestors struggled, you'd be fucking pissed. That's fair enough. But it's just, I just don't think it's possible, because it's such a web of things that you're going to be, yeah, you're going to hit some people who, you know, like perhaps maybe they're the target audience of like, you're trying to hit the right people, but you're also going to hit some people who didn't. And like, you'll find some fucking like people in the UK struggling with the cost of living crisis who are like barely making it paycheck to paycheck, and like, yet their family still own slaves. And you'll find people who, you know, they are at the top of their game, they're fucking CEO of whatever company, and their family comes from slaves. And I think, again, it sucks, but I think we're just too far removed from it to do anything about it. Like, unless anyone can really point to me like a reliable way of doing it, being like, okay, if you were a slave owner, you benefited exactly this much in terms of value, and if you still continue to make above this threshold, then you can pay this. But I just don't think it's possible, because again, even though you've got an inherent advantage or disadvantage, it doesn't mean that's the case. Like, you know, fucking not everyone is successful, unfortunately, even people with advantages, and not everyone who's got a disadvantage is unsuccessful as well. Like, it's, you know, it's so difficult. It's so fucking difficult, and we're not going to solve it on this podcast. In fact, no, we are going to solve it on this podcast. It's solved.
I think this sort of narrative is one of the reasons why Kamala Harris lost the election. Because there's that video of Obama going, like, if you're black, you have to vote for the black candidate, is essentially what he's saying. Because that's the only way that you can look at yourself and, you know, you're completely fucking downtrodden and you can't do anything about it. And of course, this is Rich coming from the white guy.
I'm so glad you addressed it. It's calm. I feel like you covered your ass there, well, mate.
But actually, Donald Trump, despite being a racist, got the most votes from blacks, Muslims, etc., 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 all of these groups. I mean, the supposed Nazi rally literally had fucking Jewish flags flying in it. So the candidate that's supposedly one of the most racist people we've ever seen in the world, so bad that he is basically Hitler, got the most support from other ethnicities ever. Because he's giving them what they perceive to be a solution to this issue, rather than just saying, oh, you're fucked, mate. The only way that we can solve this is if we just pay you money. I
don't know enough about American politics to chime in at all. I'm not going to lie. I think in terms of like being a minority group and how that defines you, I think it's very hard to imagine because I'm not a minority group, but I think different people are just going to react differently. For some people, it's going to be like, okay, this hugely affects me still to this day. And there's going to be people who are like, I'm determined to move beyond this. And I don't know what an appropriate response is, but I can definitely understand, like, I can understand both mindsets. I can understand wanting to not be defined by the color of your skin and that history. But equally, I can, you know, acknowledge like feeling like there's a bias against you or seeing a bias against you. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, we're going to get cancelled so fucking
Mate,
hard.
I'm loving this. This is
It's
so
a risky business.
This is way better than any podcast we've done recently.
The recent podcast we did a risky one a few weeks ago or something, didn't we?
That was the Jeff one, wasn't it? And cancel culture.
Yeah. I mean, maybe these are doing well. Dan Duke told me that he sent me a message being like, I can hear you and Luke trying your hardest not to get cancelled on a recent pod. And I was like, that's really good.
What a legend.
But yeah, I don't know. I think the issue of politics is like there is no right or wrong. And there's a lot of issues with anything, and you can always just disagree with whatever the fuck's going on. And I think the most important thing is whatever your value system, just stick to it, right? I think the issue is when people start to define or kind of sway their own values, and they're not quite clear with like what they mean. And do you know what I mean? Where people, like with the cancel culture thing with Mike, where people who would normally be against cancel culture are like, no, cancel Mike. And it's like, okay, you need to acknowledge that like you're going against what you believe in. I personally think canceling has a place. I think it's definitely overused, but again, like it depends on the situation. I don't think things are as black and white, and I think a lot of people are trying to make things more black and white nowadays as well. Like I think a lot of the time people like sexy opinions where they'll be like, is canceling good or bad? And it's like, oh, good or bad. Like you can't be like, okay, let's talk about this time this celebrity got cancelled. Let's talk about this time a celebrity got cancelled. Like, you know, like when a tweet from 10 years ago gets pulled up and they're like, do we cancel this celebrity? It's like, well, context, man. It was 10 years ago. Like, as long as they're not doing it anymore, I feel like it's okay. Like the Chris Rock with it was Kevin Hart with like the homophobic tweets from 10 years ago. And it's like, dude, 10 years ago was such a different time. Like you just can't hold it to the scrutiny of today. Again, it's kind of like that slavery thing of like, yeah, your ancestors had slaves. And it was like, yeah.
You have to judge it based on how it was received at the time.
Yeah, because you'd have to be so outwardly progressive and ahead of your time to be able to like recognize what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like when something's so embedded into your culture, like, dude, I probably fucking in 2010 said some like horrible things that I didn't mean, like just out of ignorance.
Yeah, of course, mate.
Like, you know, and like that's why you grow.
8 years old on fucking Xbox Live.
Oh Jesus, yeah, getting called a squeaker though. But you know, like I think if you don't give people that room to change, it's like, okay, you're judging someone by 2024 standards and what you're expecting them to have always been at 2024 standards. Like, yeah, some people are, but again, like that's not everyone. Like, you know, unless Kevin Hart was like still saying that shit and nothing had changed, then it's like that's fair enough. It's like when you have a kind of racist old person, and it's like it's not okay because if you did that when you were younger, that's fair enough because that was the times, right? It's not fair enough, but like it's more understandable.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But the fact that like you haven't changed is the issue. You know, like yeah, I don't know. It's everything is so there's a lot of gray, and I think a lot of people are scared to explore the gray, and they want everything to be black and white. And it's like left wing, right wing. Is this good? This bad? Should taxes go up or down? Should immigrants be let in or out? Fucking, are you homophobic or not? Like everything's very like black and white. And I think it's because shit sells. Politics nowadays is a fucking mess. Do you remember like
politics is religion now? Because religion is no longer mainstream. Like basically everyone was religious 50, 100 years ago. Not many people are. So we've got wokeism and anti-wokeism at this point is also a fucking religion, which is hilarious. And then general politics is also what people invest their lives into, like it's a religion.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's fucking insane. Right. I've got two things that we can talk about that's on a bit of a lighter note.
Jesus
Number
Christ.
one, I want to
So
rant about this. This is really pissing me off recently. You know how they won't increase, like in supermarkets, they won't increase the price of stuff, but they will
make it smaller.
Yeah. So the big kilo tubs of Greek yogurt are now 950 grams, which means that it's no longer exactly a quarter for a meal. And I'm like, fuck off. Bro, it's so annoying.
Mate, the worst one is, have you seen meal deals recently? I've gone, not that I've had a fucking meal deal in ages, but they've started going up to £6 for a regular meal deal.
That's insane.
Ridiculous.
Mate, they used to be £3.
Mate, literally, I used to live off of those fuckers in like first year uni. Bonkers. I hate when on that topic, one thing that used to bug me, and I noticed it at uni, is so my shop was at Tesco. Tesco, I'm calling you fuckers out. And the berries used to be £1 per kilo. Right, fucking Welsh prices and back in the day, mate, that's crazy now. £1 per kilo. And I remember, you know, every week I show up, because every week I'd be out of berries. Every week I show up, same fucking shop, you know the deal, bodybuilding and all that. Buy the berries. One time I look at it, £1.50. I'm like,
mate, now they're like £2.25.
Oh no, I was pissed. I was like, that's an outrageous price increase given the price of this product, because obviously like pricing is based off of like usually percentages, right? So it's like the more expensive something is, the bigger the markup. Like if it costs you £2 to make a car, you might sell it at 4. If it costs you 50p to make a fucking apple, you might sell it for £1. Like you're not just gonna universally just add like 50p or 5% or sorry, 50p or like £1. It's usually like 5%, 10%, whatever the fuck, right? It's percentage based. I was like, bullshit, is it costing you an extra 50% to make these fuckers? And by the way, they were frozen berries, not that it matters, but they were in season. And I look at the little fucking tag in Tesco, Aldi price match. And I was like, you little fucking geniuses. They price matched up.
Yeah, that's so annoying.
They were cheaper than Aldi. And clearly, I guess, you know, people go for the Audi price match, and Audi have a reputation of being cheap. So they're like, oh, sick, Audi price match. Everyone buys the Audi price match or the club card. And you look, and I was like, I was here before Audi price match. It was fucking cheaper. Jars me. That as well as like club card or Nectar prices. Yeah, it's cool. But now I'm now just paying a normal amount for my food. Like you'll buy something and it'll be like, oh, this is £5, but if you have a club card, it's £4.50. I'm like, oh, so you're just overcharging 50p then? Because realistically, that's what you're doing. Because I'm not even paying a subscription for my card. I'm just giving you my information, which is what they want to sell it to advertisers. But I'm like, that you're telling me you could just sell this for that price, but you're just not. Can you imagine? Imagine if we did that as coaches.
Oh, that's so good, mate.
Yeah, if you give me a WhatsApp, you get a Team Archer club card, mate, and coaching, you get 50% off. Clients would be like, why don't you just charge that much anyway? How much are you overcharging me? It's the same fucking service.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
I get you.
Let's get political about that. Fucking hell.
Another crazy thing, mate. So one of my clients yesterday told me she's just about to go for a second driving test, and she was telling me about this. And she said that after the first one, she binned off her instructor because every time he would go to the toilet for like 15 minutes during their lesson.
Okay.
So like a quarter of the driving lesson, he'd stop off at Tesco's to go to the toilet, or they'd be at a service station or whatever. Like that's literally time that she's paying for. And it baffles me the number of like people that are self-employed that think they can get away with shit like this.
Yeah. Either take a lunch break, book someone in for half an hour or 45 minutes so that you can take a break.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to be that cheeky, price decrease, or at least do it during different people's sessions. So it's not like,
she was like, it's literally every single time.
I would negotiate price 100%. I would, well, first, I would probably would bin them off, but like, let's say you haven't got another option. I would be like, how about we meet up 15 minutes later and I'll pay you for 15, I'll pay you a quarter less, because like, what the fuck are we doing here? Can you imagine? It's like, you're going to the piss on the clock. What are you doing?
Yeah, but it's not like, if it was, you know, once every so often, or you're literally like 3 minutes, that's cool. But it's like literally a quarter of the time. And it's fucking terrible customer service. And you constantly hear stories like this about, you know, how coaches will send check-ins back day later, not respond to messages, avoid adjusting programs, or whatever the fuck there. Like, it's insane.
It's
fucking insane.
Some of the like shit that I see in industry is genuinely like genuinely baffles me. Like some of the fucking stories I hear from clients baffles me. From coaches who, like, I've heard about a coach who literally just like did not understand food at all, would just constantly add food. Meal plans, a common one is meal plans, people giving meal plans without asking people what fucking foods they like.
Nice.
How I feel like that's the most 101 shit ever. Ask the client what fucking food they like. Where are you pulling foods from? How are you putting together a meal plan? Oh, eggs for breakfast. Yeah, fucking why not chicken and dark chocolate? Like what's mad? I don't get it. And another one is coaches who have pre-made splits. There's a big coaching industry who loves to not ask people how much they train. It's just like, this is the split, and it's always the same split with people. Crazy. Coaches who don't look at gyms where clients train, and they're just like, I can understand if there's not a big social media presence, and sometimes I have to be like, hey, I don't know if you had a hip adductor or not.
Yeah, and it's right? Like, okay, you can ask the client, can you get me pictures of everything? And if they don't do it, of course, they're probably going to say to you, actually, we don't have this thing. And I'm like, well, I've done my best based on what I could get an idea of, but equally, you didn't fucking give me a list or send me pictures. So you can't really hold that against me.
Yeah, it's like giving a short check-in. It's like, if I give a short check-in, I'll be like, I'm really sorry, there's just no other information here for me to go off of. If you do want this to be a bit longer, please just like give me more info. We'll continue this conversation over on WhatsApp. You know, I'm normally those shorter ones where you have the most questions, or you're just like, that's literally everything. You just aced this week. There's nothing else to go over. Like, if there is anything else you want me to talk about, let me know. But coaches who just like blitz through check-ins, it's like, bro, come on, you only get one of these a week. Why the fuck are you trying to just get through it?
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna smash through my check-ins today.
Why?
Yeah.
James Sutton did a good post on it where he was like, this is what people are paying you for as a coach. So like, treat it seriously. There are 2 times where you really need to be like on it. It's check-ins and calls. Like, that's what people are paying you for. Give them their fucking, if it takes 20 minutes, it takes 20 minutes. Like, respond, be helpful. Don't just be like, that sucks, whatever, try again, try harder. Like, talk to them. Like, I will chat shit. I will chat shit. I'll respond to what they're saying. If people have like issues, I will talk about it. I'm going to look at that week and compare it to others. I'm going to show them the greater plan. I'm not going to waste time. It doesn't make sense to. If someone wants a shorter check-in, I can give them a shorter one. But if there's something worth going over, I'm going to fucking go over it. Like, I don't get it. Like, I was talking about intra workouts today. So I literally like took the time to go through them. I was like, here's like 3 intra workouts that I recommend. Here's the difference between them. I'll send you the links on these, rather than being like, yeah, go buy an intra. I'm like,
intra is so overrated.
Yeah, 100% though. I'm not going to lie. I like it for the calories though. For some clients, it's great. And for the appetite spike post-training, potentially, depending on what you're using. But anyway, but like, like, just be genuinely fucking helpful and like ask questions. Like, if a client's like, oh, I'm struggling with sleep, don't be like, damn, that sucks. Like, be like, okay, do you want to run me through that? You know, people look at macros and they're like, bring up your protein, and then they won't ask them for like, hey, can you send me over your food? Or they won't give an idea of like, hey, if you're going to have some meat, maybe you should consume 200 grams of it rather than like 5. If I have someone who's struggling to hit protein, I'll give guidance of like, I'll be like, what's your 5 main protein sources? And I'll give a portion guide. And I say, look, if you're going to have chicken, have 200 grams. If you're going to have whey, have 45 grams. You know, and that's like, if you're going to have 4 meals per day, I would follow these. If you're going to have eggs, combine it with something else, but maybe have 3 to 4, you know, like, and that just gives people an idea of, oh, okay, when I had chicken, I was having 50 fucking grams. That would be why my protein's low. Like, be helpful as a coach. God damn it. Fucking hell.
It's insane, bro.
Remember, who Do you remember, was it Ben that told us about that coach who was like, Ben was like, I need more quads, so he just gave him like barbell squat and Smith squat or something. He just gave him like,
Ben Henson.
yeah,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
yeah,
And I know that they've done that with somebody else as well. Like literally 100% volume hike.
yeah. I
No.
like, I just, there's a few things that like bug me that coaches do. Oh yeah, I wanted to rant about it. I was listening to a coach who recently was like, yeah, bro, I'm doing form feedback all the time. Like I'll be tying my shoelaces to go to the gym and I'm like doing form feedback, go for a piss, put my phone on the top of the toilet and I'm doing form feedback. Just say you don't give a shit. Just say you don't try. Like, what the fuck is your form feedback that you are able to do it while tying your shoelaces?
Yeah,
Like,
I've gone to do that a couple of times where like, oh, I'm having a piss. I'll just watch this video and get back to it afterwards. And I'm like, I need to watch it again because I don't know what the fuck just happened there.
mate, literally, like, Chloe hates it because she'll walk into the room and like she knows when I'm not doing check-in, she knows when I'm done. But sometimes she'll walk in and start talking to me, and I'll be like, hang on. And there's like, I'm looking at form feedback on the left. I've got my notes on the right, and I'm like taking notes and watching it through. People fast forwarding the video or like skipping through it, or like, what are you doing? Like, what kind of fucking form feedback are you giving? Coaches who again, when they get a new client, immediately are like, if the client's like, I want to do my own food, I want to do my own training, they're like, cool, and that's fine, but they're not following up with it at all. Okay.
Yeah, I've had that a couple of times where like a new client's like, I just want help with this side of things. I'm like, okay, cool. I still need to know everything that you're doing on the other side of it because that shit matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got a client who I don't do his training. He has a PT who does his training. Me and the PT converse. I know what his training is. I know what his split is. I still get him to fill it out. I can access the sheets of like that PT and what they're doing. But even if I have like clients who are like, hey, I want to do entirely my own training. Like I've had it before where I had a client who was like, hey man, I like to train a certain way, and I want to put my own plan together. And I was like, cool, send that over. I'll give you an idea of maybe some alterations that I'd make, but ultimately it's up to you. And so what I did is I sat down and I walked them through, here's some possible changes. I sent them a plan back of being like, here, based on what you've got, here's some tweaks I'd make. Here's why I've made those tweaks. If you want to run that, here's the benefit. But if you don't, that's fine. But then at least I know what they're doing. Right. And I can see what's going on. And it's the same for like people, whenever someone like fills out calories and macros, I'll always say, hey, can you just send me over like roughly what a day of eating looks like? Like, show me what you're eating. Okay. Yeah, cool. 200 protein, 300 carbs, 60 fat. But is it 60 fat from ice cream? Is it 200 protein from oats and bread? Is it 30 carb from like fucking just drinking maltodextrin all day? Like, how are we running this? Like, and then, based on what that looks like, you can kind of give some more feedback. And again, you don't need to be in control of everything, but your value as a coach is giving people advice on shit that they probably don't even know about. Like, if you're just letting clients do their own thing, they're gonna make mistakes. And as long as you've said, here's mistakes you're making, are you fine with that? And they say yes, then cool, I don't give a shit. But imagine your client turns around to you after 6 months and says, hey, a coach just told me I could be doing this to make it better. Can I? And you're like, yeah, I didn't realize you were doing that. I didn't realize you were making that mistake. I would have told you. And it's like, that's so fucking embarrassing. Like 6 months. And that client's like, hey, why am I not seeing the results that I want? Say their legs aren't growing because they just put in a Smith squat and a barbell back squat because they're like, my quads aren't growing. It's like, if you don't know what that client is doing, what the fuck are you coaching? Too many coaches are focused on volume of clients rather than quality, and they're just like, yeah, I've got 60 clients, I want 70. And it's like, you can't handle it because you're barely coaching at this point. Anyway, it's my fucking rant. Jarring.
Mate, it's true though. It's fucking true.
I will never be a coach with like hundreds of clients. I get that like you want to work like 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, but you just can't tell me that it's that quality. Like, you just can't. There comes a point where it just falls off. Like, I get that maybe you've stopped bodybuilding or you've stopped training entirely or you're retired and it's all you do. But even then, there is only so much you can do, man. There's only so much. Like, I'm literally currently working at the back end on bringing on a second coach because there's only so many more clients I can take on before my service quality drops. and I'm already working my tits off. It's just that like I'm actually putting in time for each client. Like I think there's probably coaches who spend like a third the amount of time that I spend on my client base, but they're just not going to get the same retention. They're not going to get the same results. Like
and you'd much rather feel like, oh, I'm probably not charging enough here for what I'm delivering, than getting a bit more money, but they're not staying for so long, and then when they do leave, they're then unhappy with what you gave them.
My retention on average is like 18 to 19 months, and a lot of coaches who charge like who are way bigger in industry have nowhere near that retention, and it's like you're just working with too many people. Like I get that you want that money, but it comes at a cost, and like there is only so much you can do. And if you're not taking the time, if you're just doing things rather than taking the time to be like, how can I make this feedback the most useful? You're sending across form feedback to someone. You've given that form feedback cue last time, so following up and saying, hey, do you want me to give you a video on this? You're noticing that like someone's gone a little bit quiet, you haven't heard from them in a few days, like probing them with a message. Say that someone's falling off a little bit, taking the time to get on a call with them. Someone's losing engagement with their phase, sitting down and going, okay, like let's talk about this. If you're not able to give more time to your clients when they need it, they're just gonna fuck off and find someone else like me or Luke, because me and Luke can actually handle it. Anyway, fucking hell.
Yeah, mate, like just going through the check-ins I had yesterday. So Bailey, 65 weeks, Cameron, 62 weeks, Kieran, 21 weeks. That's the second time that's as in the second time I've coached him, because he came back because he wanted more help from me.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
it seems like not
how
many other coaches do you know who ask their clients for looms every week? Like you ask your clients for looms every week.
Yeah, and some don't do it because they don't want to do it. They'd rather do a voice note or they'd rather do a text message, and that's equally fine.
Yeah.
But I'd much rather have a fucking 5-minute loom video from them than nothing whatsoever, because they'll tell me shit about their life that's useful to know. Like Danny, for example, he started 3 or 4 weeks ago at this point. And if he didn't send me a loom video last week, all I would have seen was that he was under on his steps some days. He went a little bit over on calories and he missed one of his cardio sessions. But the loom video, he's telling me how it's half term with the kids and they were doing this and they were doing that. And I'm like, oh, of course it's not been 100% because he's completely out of routine.
Yep.
Like it's fucking obvious.
Yep.
But otherwise I'm sat there fucking having a go at him because, well, I'm not having a go at him, but you know what I mean?
Trying to pull him up on it.
Because he's not been a fucking 100%. Well, I'm like, this isn't going to be an issue next week, so we really don't need to worry. And to be honest, considering how much worse it's been previously during half term, this is a fucking win.
Mate, exactly. But not so many top coaches who probably charge way more than us two would be like, I'm not doing looms for every client. Do you know how fucking long that would take? Yeah, that's kind of the point, mate. Like,
yeah.
If I have a client drifting, first thing, or if I like literally will say to people all the time, I'll be like, do you want to call? Do you want to call? Do you want to call? I've got 3 calls today. I've got 4 calls tomorrow. Like I'm constantly doing calls with clients because guess what? They find it the most beneficial. And not a lot of coaches are going to want to dictate like an hour of time to just one client, because they could do they could do like 12 check-ins in that time because they blast through them. But coaches need to, I think a lot of coaches just have way too big of a client base and they just don't give enough attention for any single client. Is Luke still here? Wow. Luke has left. He's fucking lagged out. Okay, well, I'm sure he'd agree with me anyway. This is weird. I'm now talking to myself. I've got a frozen Luke on the screen. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. If you want coaching from Luke, it's at LacticAddictLuke on Instagram. There he goes, he's gone. He's at LacticAddictLuke. That's addict, not acid. Addict Luke on Instagram. He's also got a YouTube video if you want to see more of him for whatever reason. If you want coaching from myself, it's JackArcherCoaching on Instagram. I also have a YouTube, JackArcherCoaching. My YouTube is shit, so is Luke's. But we do have Instagrams. Oh, he's back. I was literally just wrapping up the podcast, man.
I put my phone in my pocket because I was like, we're going to be finishing in a second, and then the hotspot just went nope.
Oh well. I was just
Great.
wrapping
I
up.
really enjoyed that one. I thought that
Yeah.
was.
I've already said where they can find us. So any closing
I'm
words?
in the
before I leave you?
Shire, for anyone that is wondering. I'm currently going to Billboy Baggins' birthday party next week. So it's going to be a big one. Big summer blowout, mate.
Big summer blowout. All right. Thank you everyone for listening. Until the next one. If you have any opinions off the back of this podcast, let us know gently. Anyway, bye.